maybe just a little check-in, like how both of us are sitting here. Maybe so I'm super excited and yeah, I just love to give this to friends. Um and yeah, I'm I'm like looking forward to 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 this. And yeah. And I also feel that I had some tension in my belly before we started. And like
Hmm.
now it's like it's gone. It's like I'm here and I'm like, let's
Interesting.
go. Let's go. So yeah, maybe there was something there, maybe not. Whatever. I can
Who
think
knows?
about it, but whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So how are you sitting here? How do you feel?
Mm. Well, I hear my cat, so I'm a little bit distracted, um, but that's okay. And I also feel some tension in my back, um, yeah, and in my neck. I'm just curious about this session, I guess. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And besides that, I feel good.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And do you want to let her in? Because if she's meowing, she may wants to be here.
Yeah, but I already did that like 10 minutes ago or something, and then she wanted to go back to the hall, so I
Seems to be endless.
yeah, I know. I think she just wants attention or something.
Hmm. All right. So you're good with her behind the door.
Yeah, I just have to yeah, be okay with the noise and
Yeah. I don't hear it, by the way.
okay.
Zoom
Yeah.
is amazing with that, with canceling that noise out. So
Yeah.
even though I love cats, so doesn't it doesn't
Exactly.
seem like noise.
Yeah. It's not very loud, so yeah, it's okay.
All right. So, um, yeah, maybe beautiful one also to start with, um, as in why you're here, and maybe you're conscious of that, maybe not. Of course, I invited you, so maybe it was like, oh, let's just see, right? But there may also be an intention or like something that is happening in your life, and you're like, maybe that's why I'm here. Um, Maybe challenge, maybe whatever.
Mm. Well, I mean, I don't exactly know the answer because I don't really know what's going to happen or what kind of questions are going to be there. But yeah, I mean, I already said like I don't know if I said that in the form, but mm,
Hmm.
like sometimes I feel like kind of stuck, um, and also really in my head, and just that negative voice
Mm,
just like talking, and I don't know, and then I'm taking it seriously, and um, yeah, it's kind of a struggle, sometimes. Mm. And yeah, and like really looking um, outside for validation.
hmm.
Mm. And there was something else, but I don't really know what it was. I just really let myself be affected by my circumstances.
Mm.
That's something else. So I'm like really, I'm like right now, I'm like really into like mindset and manifestation, and I'm really like trying to be my best self, or the version that I want to be.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's like circumstances, and then they're like telling me, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
You're your old self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so then it's like really hard to, yeah, um, think of my new self, or my, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
version.
Yeah. 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 And circumstances, those are, is it circumstances as in from around you, or is it just like the voices in your head saying like you're now your old self? That stuff? Or
I mean, first it's the circumstances, and then it's the voice in my head. Like,
yeah.
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 And of course, it's the voice in my head that is the most annoying part of it. But also, sometimes I feel like the emotions,
Yeah.
because of the circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I get it. Yeah. 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 I can relate to that, as in based on what I experienced. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I've been very hard on myself, like the inner critic, like the one that the voice that just keeps
Hmm.
on going, right? And it's not nice stuff, right? That
No.
one has been so harsh on me. Like I've been so much struggling with that one.
Yeah, it's tough.
Especially when I was like around 22, I've been playing like really the hard working game, as
Mm.
in the carrière. What do you call it in English? Carrière.
Career.
Yeah, career. Yeah, career. Like going on that ladder, right? And going on that, like having to have success and having to have, yeah, yeah. I've been really harsh on myself. It was never enough, right? It was never enough, and it was just, that was just the voice that my father always said, right? It was like he always said like I don't know how to translate it in English, but like it 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 ends kind of on like the only thing that matters is the result, something like that, right? Yeah, and if the only thing that matters is the result, then you can even in that sense do anything, right? So it's also pretty crazy. Um, so yeah,
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 you
yeah,
don't really enjoy the now.
right? Yeah, because you're always looking for some future. You're always looking for what's next.
Yeah.
Um, and in a kind of way also how to better yourself or have a better result or whatever, right? So you're always focused on that instead of he being here in the now. Yeah, 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 yeah. And now it's very easy to be like in general, not always, of course, but now in general, it's very easy to be here in the now. And that's like when I came onto the content of what is possible for this session,
Hmm.
which I call now the end game questions. That
Hmm.
whole game, right? That is going on, the whole mind game. It's
Hmm.
like it just it's not that there are no thoughts anymore or whatever, right? Or that yet there's just a clear seeing, and it's not even the right words for it, but there's just a clear seeing through all of that. As in, it doesn't have the hook that it had before. So there's in that sense freedom. Even though sometimes there are trains coming in of thoughts, right? And yet it doesn't touch me the way that it did. And that's just amazing. And that's
Yeah.
right, that's freedom in that sense.
Yeah. Amazing.
So I would say let's dive in, right? And
Mhm.
I've never done it like the way that I'm going to do with you now. I'm quite
Okay.
curious. Like it just comes now. And I also thought about it and like, oh, let's see what comes. So what's here is like all of this that we can talk about, right? All that we can talk about is true language, and that comes down on words. But what are words? What is a word?
Yeah.
What is a word? Just like
Yeah. Question.
letters, right? It's just
Yeah.
letters, and they have a kind of meaning, and that we give it to a word.
Yeah.
Um, but for every person, the meaning is also different, and and the only way we can give meaning to it is through thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So we go up here,
Hmm.
and but what is a thought?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Words
yeah,
or images. Yeah.
but does it have like a real content? It seems to represent something, but what is it, right? It's not tangible in that sense, right? It's just
No, no, it is not.
so it's in that sense
But
just a thought. It's
yeah,
just
yeah, it
and
is.
it is.
Yeah.
And is it really? Like, is it really in the sense that um if you cannot access the past and you cannot access the future, what is here in the middle of that past and future?
It's just an experience of your senses.
Yeah. And in this now, is there a thought
Right now, in my head now.
here? If you cannot access the past and cannot access the future, is there is what is here?
Yeah. mm, yeah, just what I see, what I hear, what I smell. Mm,
Yeah,
that's
that's what's here.
yeah. So
Yeah. So here, right now, this very instant, are there thoughts?
not really.
Yeah, that's amazing, huh?
Hmm.
If you're like really here, like this instant, it's even free of thoughts, right?
Yeah, it's just presence.
Yeah. And future and past, right? Can you access that without thoughts?
Mm, I don't think so. I mean, it's all going through your mind, so
Yeah, yeah,
you can feel maybe things, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you started with, and I love that one in the words, right? I think so, because you have to think so to be
Hmm.
able to go there,
Yeah.
right? You have to go to here. to access that.
Yeah.
But wait a second, if that's just a thought, if you have to think about it to go to the past and go to the future, if then the past and the future is just a thought
Yeah.
or a
It
bunch of thoughts.
it is. It is.
So, like,
It yeah.
because in,
It's only now.
yeah, it's only now. If you don't do that, if you don't do the mind game, the mind ping pong between past and future, past and future, right? You go ping ponging in your mind, but you end on the net, right? The middle of it,
Mm.
in between past and future, in that middle, in this now. It's even free of thoughts, right? Or are there thoughts this instant now?
No.
No. It's
No.
just really direct. It's like the most direct you can you can kind of be in touch with life, and that is maybe even saying too much, right? And there's only now because to be able to access the past and access the future, we got to think of it, and that's just a thought. So, in that sense, time is just one big illusion.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, if there's only now, if all the thoughts is just if it's all just a thought, what is in between thoughts and no thoughts?
Mm, um, nothing.
I don't know the answer.
No, me neither. No.
Yeah. What is in between a mind and no mind?
Nothing. Thing. Yeah.
It's quite. It's like almost. It's almost. It seems quite impossible to name it, right? To put it into words, to even think about it, right?
Yeah. I get a little bit confused by it.
Confused. Yeah. 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 So the mind, it's like error, syntax error,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in that, if you're like the mind doesn't keep up anymore, and you're just here in this now, is there anything wrong with this now?
No.
Hello. It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I love it too. So, what if this is it?
What do you mean?
Everything I say are just words, right? So, don't take them for literally what I'm saying, because I don't know. I cannot give answers, as in, I can give answers, and it would be just a word. It would be just a concept, just a thought. Everything I could say about the answer to the questions I ask you, it would be just a thought,
Yeah.
just an idea, just a concept.
Just
Yeah,
based on your perception. Yeah.
yeah, right? Yeah, just based on and it seems to be all very real, right? Just also with time and with this. Yet, everything I can say about it is just a word coming from a thought or coming from maybe not even from a thought, maybe right here and right now, I'm not even thinking about what I'm saying. There's just blah, blah, blah coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And what if it's not in the words, right? Because they're made up. So what if it's in between words and no words? What if it's in between the words? What is there, right?
Energy.
Yeah. And even that is a concept, and you want to use some kind of word and some kind of language, so I get it. If I
Yeah.
would say anything, it would also be like, and yet can we even name this that is here in between the words, right? There is something, right, in between it all, in between my blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And it feels quite free, right?
Yeah, because the words are, I don't know, it sometimes when I'm like talking and I'm like feeling like, oh, I don't really, or I want to say something, but I can't really put it into words. So then it feels like really restricted. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't feel free.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's what words do sometimes for me.
yeah, yeah. And what if you don't even have to, right? Because that's just a belief.
Yeah.
And the belief, what is that? What is a belief made up from?
Yeah.
Seems to be like just thoughts, right?
Mm.
Just an idea, just a belief, whatever. Yet it seems like that there's something in between the words and the beliefs and the concepts and the ideas and all of that, all of the beyond the language, right? That is free from all of that, from the restrictions and everything connected to language and words and thoughts. So, what if this is it? Whatever it means.
That would be freedom.
Yeah. And it's even freedom from all ideas of freedom,
Mm.
because that will be just an idea.
Exactly. A concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in this that kind of seems like the underlyingness of everything. It seems like. And even those are just words. Is there even a you in this?
No. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just consciousness. Yeah. don't really, yeah.
Yeah. And that is even by lack of better words, right? Because even consciousness is, oh, because it can become then like, oh, it's consciousness, right? But what if we cannot even say that it is consciousness or it's not consciousness? Because that would be just a belief.
Mm-hmm. Mm,
I cannot say it's true or it's not true because I don't know.
yeah.
And I cannot even find a one who knows in that sense because that me is just a concept that would know. I cannot locate me. I cannot find like, oh, there is me because it seems to be like just made out of air.
Yeah.
That what I thought was me, right? What I thought was me. It was a thought.
Yeah.
And I say me because language,
Yeah.
but you cannot find you, and I cannot find me. And yet, there is something here. And from here, we talk and we connect, and right? But it's kind of free from all the drama, right? And all the challenges and the things in life that, right? What you also talked about, like
Exactly.
it doesn't seem.
That's all about the future or the past
Yes, yeah. Wow, there's
and the
beautiful.
stories.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You see the clarity that's here with you. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You see right through it. It's like it was all connected to that. Yeah, this that cannot even kind of be named is just untouched by all of that. Yeah. So if this is it, what is there even to search for? Or to go back for, right? Into the past. It seems that there
Then
was.
we still have to deal with our emotions that come up.
They can. Yes, they can. Yeah. Yet it can be felt in a total different way, in a sense, from this. Um, because also when you take it really personal, when you go into that sandcastle of that, or that, like that castle in the sky, right? Of me, and that seems all to be very important, right? Then it feels different, right? An emotion. Um, when I see adults um, cry, for example, or when I see them deal with emotions in the general sense,
Mm.
it's so different than with a child, right? Because a child, it seems to be like only in the now. Like even let's talk about a
Really,
child
yeah.
before language, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And we, both of us, we have experienced that in the joke of time. That was in the now then, right? Um, and and essentially there's only now, but that will become it becomes like right. Um, but in that sense, it's not new, right? We have experienced this, and a child is just like it can be very intense, right? It can be crying like it's all everything, right? But then it can be one instant, it can be whatever. It can be even a fly coming by and it's like, a fly, right?
Yeah.
And then there's happiness again. It's like life is just one big experience. Um, but an adult. And when I take myself, for example, like I believe that at moments when I felt there was something that I'm not feeling, I really believe that I have to dig deep now and feel all of it. And
Yeah.
because this and this happened and I gotta heal from that, right? The whole trauma thing. Like, because, I've been through stuff and now but those are just beliefs and it's just me with the thoughts going back to the past because now I'm experiencing something and it's kind of projecting that happened onto this now. But without all of that, if there's only now, it's just a raw emotion.
Yeah.
And it can be over in an instant. And it
Yeah,
can
it's
also
true.
take a bit longer. But in general, like what I'm experiencing now, it's so different. It doesn't have the heaviness, it's light. Even though it can be intense. But it
Yeah,
doesn't have that heaviness that seems to come with the stories that
exactly.
adults and me and I also had, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. It's true. True. Same. Yeah, I believe it only takes like, what is it, 90 seconds or something for an emotion to pass. But then there's like this mental loop, and then you are like thinking about it, and
Yeah.
it goes on and on and on, and then it takes longer. And
Yeah.
yeah,
The whole narrative, right? The whole, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, it can also, I also felt with like deep grief that if you really let it come true, then it feels like freedom,
yeah, 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 exactly.
like openness, and yeah, freedom.
Yeah, yeah,
That's beautiful. I think we are also here to experience that.
yeah, yeah. And that is also a belief, right?
Exactly.
And and yet
It's a
you can
concept.
believe it. You can it's just from this you can just choose, right? It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
if it's helping you,
why not?
why not?
Right? Yeah. But now you come from freedom, so you can believe anything.
Yeah,
Instead of believing
exactly.
it without even knowing that you believe in it and being in the jail of that belief. And I'm just saying, like, okay, just look behind you because it's not a jail. There's like an open field. You're just choosing that.
Yeah,
But it can be difficult with the thoughts, right? Because we invested in that and we go back and forth and we don't have to. Yeah. 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 There seems to be like a lightness over you.
yeah, yeah. It's always a good reminder to, yeah, I don't know, to think about what's real. and what isn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the now is the only thing that's real.
Yeah. Yeah. And from there you can just choose. And it seems to be that there are kind of multiple roads, as in some people they're just like I'm just like I just follow the flow, or there's just like an automatic like going with the flow that just comes from here, right? And there's in that sense not even a you that really chooses that anymore. It's just from this flow. It's like you can get a bill from the tax company and you're just paying it without even thinking of it. Just like taking a coffee in the morning or a tea or whatever. We love tea more. I know that. We're the tea big tea lovers here. And it's just taking a tea without even realizing you're doing that stuff, right? It's just an automatic doing and an automatic happening, and things are happening, and you say things, and it's just this flow.
Yeah.
And some and with me, there's this flow, and there's this from that flow, and also I have a sense still from the the shaped me, the constructed me. Some things I'm like, okay, I want to do this, right? And wherever it's coming from, I choose to do that. Yeah, it feels way more free than before, even though there can be trains of thoughts coming in, right? Yet I don't have to board them. Um, I don't have to like suppress anything in this. And I also don't have to welcome it, because that's the other side in like in the modern spirituality. It's like, oh, we have to welcome everything, right? And then it comes like a belief on itself,
Mm-hmm.
like something you have to do, right? Because of everything that happened. But what if you're all already free from all of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know, free from all the trauma. Yeah, like even that is a concept. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? That
We
that
all have to
that you're
heal.
free? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. You're already free from all of that.
I know. Yeah. 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 That's amazing because then you don't really have to do anything. Yeah.
Yet you can,
Yeah.
right?
If
You can
I.
just choose.
Yeah. Exactly.
But the importance is off of it. Is off, right? It's like it doesn't really matter that much what you're doing anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to clean. In Dutch we would call it a staircase house.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm going to mop, maybe, or at least, or to vacuum clean. And before I would be like, no, no, I don't do that. Right? It's like this, almost like this, like I would place myself like, oh no, I don't do that. Right? I had
But is it
this.
like a job or something, or
I'm doing it like I don't. I also don't feel like doing it as a job, because
yeah?
I feel like this gives me the most energy. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
the natural flow for me, and
Yeah.
that is not like the most natural flow yet. My mother has a cleaning company, and she said we need people. And not long ago, my sister also works in that, and she called me and she's like, "Hey, with Christmas coming, we're short of people, and can you help us?" And I said yes for 3 days this week and 3 days next week, which is quite a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And
Yeah.
because I need people, and I'm like, yeah, it's like it doesn't matter that much anymore what I do. Yet there is a preference, right? But it's not like the end of the world if I do it or not. And before, if I would have said yes, I may have said yes out of I need to help, and that otherwise I would feel kind of guilty, or that I would be like, no, 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 right? I would be like, but you see the movements here? It's like, and I was like, there is a whatever. Even though I don't choose to do this forever, now they need help, and there's time in my agenda for that. So, because if I would be full with this, and I can help people with this,
Mhm.
it does feel that's the yeah that does feel better. Yet when I worked before, um, so in the I started like I think 3 weeks ago. Like I've
Mhm.
now done 4 times or something,
Mhm.
4 days, and I'm doing that, and I'm just like it's just flowing. It's like it's not before I really could have been when while doing that job feeling like I have to do something else, right? Like
Mhm.
there are more important things for me, like the
Mhm.
important stuff, right? Just like and I meant for something else, which is a joke. Meant. What does that even mean anymore? Meant.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a great movie, or I haven't watched it, but I've heard about it. Like my brother told me about it, and it's about cleaning, or it's a man cleaning toilets in Tokyo, Japan, and it's like his biggest passion ever. He's like doing it with so much passion and joy, and but it's just cleaning toilets, and um, yeah, it's just beautiful
Yeah.
that can even be something. Yeah, that doesn't really matter what you do.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful one. Yeah, I must say for me, like it doesn't feel like the biggest joy.
No.
And I must say also that I'm glad that it's not cleaning toilets because this feels better than cleaning toilets to be very honest, right? It's not like it's not a preference.
No.
Um, and yet if I like what does it matter? Like for the concept of me, it matters way more than from this that is already free because I like whatever I do, I'm already free. And before I had to find kind of that freedom. Right? I have to do this and this and this in order to get this and this and this. But
Mm-hmm.
if all of that is never in the future and if it's already here, what does it matter? Yeah. What do you love to do?
Well, it depends on the moment.
Yeah.
Um, I
I know a
mean,
little bit, but I'm curious what you're saying now.
I know. Like, I'm also curious about what I'm gonna say. Um, mm, I love learning new things. I love being in nature, being with people I love. Yeah, and yeah, feel expansion,
Hmm.
book reading. Yeah,
That,
yeah, yeah. Very simple things, I guess. Well,
whatever word we give to it,
depends.
right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not everybody sees it as.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much does it matter? now?
What matters? That I what I love,
No, as in,
or
of course, you love that, so that's a natural flow,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's where where kind of you naturally flow towards, right? So there's in that sense, there's no ego in that sense involved. It just you just flow to there. So, and if the flow goes to there, or the flow maybe goes to somewhere something else, like what happened with the cleaning, what happened for me, like I was asked and I was like, okay, why not? There's no reason anymore to not. Because before there were all kinds of reasons, but those are just beliefs, and all of them dropped away, and it's like there's no reason anymore. So, like, if there would be coming something else, right? Like, how much does it matter if at that moment you're doing this or there's something else coming? Like I'm talking about like the importance of it. Maybe before it may have felt like really important, and even though you love it, like how is it now with the importance of this?
I mean, I'm not really thinking about it, so I guess it's not really important, no, because you're in the know, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you can end up like doing this or you can end up doing something else. And in that sense, yeah, whatever.
Exactly. And that's also why it's always shifting what you enjoy. Like
Yeah.
every moment, there is something else that you enjoy, and maybe, of course, there are like bigger things that you are really passionate about. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then the flow leads you here, and then you feel like, oh, I love to do this, and then it leads you there, and then right, right?
mm,
Yeah. Hmm.
and even the thought of being stuck is also just a thought. It's also not real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it can be that you feel pain, right? It can be that there's a, yet even the word pain involves like something that you should feel, right? Because a word can have like a kind of charge. But if you even peel off the meaning of that word, what's left? Yeah, just a sensation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love the word sensation because it can kind of be, it can be anything. It doesn't have that much content as emotions have. Like when we talk about emotion, it already feels like there's a kind of heaviness in
Mm-hmm.
the word, right? Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you ought to, like if there's sadness or if there's like anger, you ought to feel this and this and this, right? Yet when we unlabel all of that, there's just a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
a sensation, whatever.
It's also a sensation, yeah, emotions.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. Lovely to see the
Yeah.
clarity here with you. Like it's like stuck pain. You said stuck pain, right? I don't remember.
I didn't say pain
Oh,
exactly. That's what you came up
oh.
with, but
You see how fast it goes?
that's
Like
your
I just came up
perception
with that.
of being stuck, I guess.
Oh, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I don't know, like for me, stuckness, it doesn't really feel like pain. It feels like more like numbness. And maybe you feel like a little bit of sensations underneath it.
yeah,
But the numbness is like hold you back or something. Or yeah, but yeah, yeah, sensations again.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even feel the stuckness. It's just the loop you keep repeating.
Yeah.
Now, like you have this story, like, oh yeah, you're stuck, so you always be stuck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it becomes even more heavy than it maybe
Yeah,
already was.
exactly.
And that's just a thought.
Yeah,
So if we don't do the mind ping pong,
yeah,
what's here?
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And in such a moment, like what I say to myself, like if I feel that I'm kind of back in the mind game, then I just ask myself, what is in between thoughts and no thoughts? Poof, and I'm here. And I'm here. And it doesn't always feel as light, but whatever, right? Um, in general, in general, it feels so much more light than it felt before. Yeah, even in such situations. I don't know if you know of this because you know both of us, but um, yeah, my partner and I, we are not together anymore in the relationship sense, and it was literally yesterday that we really sat because we're doing it quite differently. So in that sense, also that helps because it feels way more gentle to the body and to the system that is seemingly somehow here. And what we do is there's not the hard to cold cut like okay now it's done right
Yeah,
as in that I've experienced also so much in relationship which is it's not gentle for the heart and everything right
yeah. It
so
can be very traumatic as well.
yep yep
Very
um
intense.
and yet it can in that sense also be traumatic when we go back right we go back and forth because otherwise there is just it can be that you're just tearing up and you don't even know why but in knowing why and going back the happiness can come in and that's just an all illusion because you don't have to otherwise it's just something that you feel whatever if it comes from something or not what does it matter in the end right there's just this so um but anyway that beside that point like what we saw in front of each other is a line that goes like this, as in with the transformation from partners to friends, and or whatever the way looks like that we kind of transition to, because we want to stay in connection, but maybe also we feel like, oh, at some point it is good to not see each other or whatever. And it has been not so long, but some weeks now in that. And I've been with her now for um, around a week. And yesterday, I we really said to each other, okay, this is for now the last time that we see each other. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I traveled with the public services
Mm-hmm.
with tears in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And before I could have the story that it should be different, like in maybe also in relationship, but also in connection to the public services and stuff, right? And now when these beliefs are not in place, when I don't do the ping pong in that sense, there's just emotion. I'm just feeling that. And I was at the moment, at some moment, I was even like beside the whole thing from the relationship and kind of grieving from that. And of course, that is connected to like also a kind of way in the past, but it is here in the now. Like I'm not doing the mind ping pong in that sense. It's just in the now there is
Mm.
these tears, and even tears is a word, right? Because what is that? It's just water flowing here, and I feel sensations. And before it could have been so heavy, right?
Yeah.
With all the beliefs and everything. And
Mm.
now it was intense, just like a baby, because I'm one big baby. I have kind of seemingly become now that
Mm.
can also talk about adult things and can calculate stuff with the mind because that's also part of it, right? It's like
Mm.
it's also a friend in that sense. But
Mhm.
in this, it's just a rawness of it. It's just a rawness, and there were tears in some moment about that. I'm so grateful to feel this. It was just a gratefulness for the aliveness of it. The aliveness without the words, the aliveness without the stories. An aliveness that is kind of light, even though I'm like fully going, right? Wow. It's just wow. Yeah.
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 I think grief is beautiful. It's like it's opening the heart. Like the
Yeah.
heart will open and
Yeah.
beautiful. But still tough. Yeah. But not when you like completely allow it.
But not.
When you completely allow it to move through
Y-
you.
Yeah. But there's, well, you know, the thing before, I could have been focused on allowing it
Hmm.
because I had the belief that I have to allow it. Because
Hmm.
I was kind of going to the opposite. Before there was the resistance, and now I'm going to the allowing side. Like, and
Hmm.
now there's not even resisting or allowing. It's just happening.
Hmm.
And that's also really free in that sense. And it kind of seems like allowing, and yet it is not even allowing, right? It's like, I don't even know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I meant that like we are so conditioned to I don't know, not really allow it to hold back in our emotions because, for example, you're in public transportation, um, so you can't cry because then other people see it and blah blah blah. But yeah, allowing is then actually not or not resisting it. Or am I saying that correctly? Yeah, not resisting.
Yeah. 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 I'm kind of curious what, even though there's only now, but it can be so nice to talk about it because we have this sense of time, right? I'm kind of curious, like what is going to unfold for you from this, um, because there's a beautiful, clear seeing through it with you. Like it's like in a kind of sense, and it's not even the good words for it, but you already know it, right? It's not in a way. It's not. It seems like with you that it was already cracked, but in a good way, right? It was already
Yeah.
I love to call it poofing, like poof. Some
Mm-hmm.
people it's like poof, what? And with you it was like, all right, like it seemed like it's just, oh yeah,
It's just the remembrance.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the thing. Like I always have to remember what's real. Yeah, I have to remind myself about it, because otherwise I will just go back to the all the thoughts and the stories and
Hmm. It can be that, and that moment can come anytime, that you don't even have to like actively remember anymore because there's just a being in the now.
mm,
And that when things come up, and it can be like directly after this already or whatever, right? And if you feel like you need some more support in that, just reach out to me. You're welcome anytime. But it can be that after this, like that there's that you just directly see through it. Like they can, the thoughts can come up, but it's like you see the reality or unreality in a kind of way that they hold for you. Like it's like a child that's like in a kind of way it's like a child, right? That's like these toys, like I don't like to play with them anymore, right? You're like, I'm going to play with different kind of toys or whatever, right?
yeah,
I don't enjoy playing with them anymore. It didn't feel like playing anymore. Like I'm
mm,
choosing different ones, right?
yeah. Just following the flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Just checking. Yeah. So even though Q&A doesn't make any sense anymore because I don't know. Still, do you have any questions?
I don't know. Yeah, it's just, I mean, we already talked a little bit about it, I guess. Just, yeah, what you do when you get stuck in all the emotions and all the stories and kind of thing. But
Hmm.
you already said it, like you just have to remind yourself what's between the what's it again, the
You can
thoughts and the no thoughts, or no words and words.
you can ask yourself any question
Yeah,
about
this
the
is
in
more.
between. What is
Yeah.
in between words and no words, thoughts and no thoughts, mind and no mind, even like what's in between me and no me.
Mhm.
I also love that one. Like whatever question, like what am I without thoughts? What am I without all this seemingly reality? Like, um, and I can really recognize also this one, like, because what's happening here with the question is like in trying to prevent something from happening in the future. So it's the mind going to the future, and that thought is irrelevant. It's just a thought because you cannot lose this, right? It's always here. It's always now. There is always now. Yet we seem not to experience it when we're up here. So even the thought, how can I prevent that from happening? And you're not literally saying that, but like, what if I'm stuck, right? Um, what if I'm stuck is what kind of gets you in stuck, in stuckness, because it is the start of going to the future. So this thought, if you see it as irrelevant, if you see that connected to the future and connected to the past as irrelevant, is in thoughts like this, right? Because I can also consciously choose about choose to think about, okay, what am I going to eat tonight, right? Pretty practical thought, or holiday or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So these are practical thoughts and it can be very useful and you choose it. So it's kind of a thought on demand. You can do that anytime. Yet there are
Mm.
also these thoughts that seem to come from something trying to prevent something from happening or happening again. The the really the the mind game that you're not choosing, right? And that is irrelevant. So it's just irrelevant. And seeing the irrelevance, you're here. Even if there are trains of that coming, you see through the trains of irrelevant thoughts. And what seems to be the experience here is that with people and also with me, with time, they become less and less and less and becomes more and more quiet.
Mm.
And you're just here flowing in and out.
Mm. That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And it can be joy, it can be sadness, it can be whatever sensation.
Mm.
It's playing again. It's just it's so much like being a child. In awe. It can be about anything. Yeah. Literally, I have a pumpkin there, and I literally this morning I looked at the pumpkin like, wow, so amazing. A
Mm.
pumpkin. Right?
Mm.
It's just there's it's also that innocence,
Mhm.
right? Because we I don't know, right? Like if I don't put the label on everything around me what it is, then from that knowing and from that innocence, everything can be amazing. Even a brick in a metro station, like seemingly far away from nature, that came out of nature, and even that's a thought. Like now I'm going back up here. Like, but looking at it can be like, wow, could be not,
Mm.
whatever. Words, blah blah blah.
I also have another question. Like, what do you have like goals in life?
Yeah, yeah. So goals. Um, since the moment that I was in the car and it was like, um, before I didn't have that much goals anymore, but I still had some, and it all didn't make any sense anymore. Like even the method that I created and all the things, the
Mm-hmm.
work that I did, because it's personal development work, and if this is if this is it, what is there to develop? So it was like it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
So that kind of all fell away, and when in this now I placed a goal, like for example, um, I want to bring this. There's a longing to bring this into the world. So for example, this,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm recording quite a lot of videos, as in with you and with other people, giving this to friends now while I'm doing it free. It's like amazing because maybe they won't do that, and I love to give that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I place um in front of me. I want to have the first one ready at that moment. The first time that I said this was already like at least a week ago. And there's not one online yet.
Mhm.
And when I really stick to that, when I go into this gotta happen, there's tension, there is I'm not feeling well. And this kind of seems to be the belief that I have lived with and many people live with, right?
Mhm.
About deadlines, and if you work in a company that has deadlines, you gotta. Yet it creates suffering. It does for me. I felt that before this, and now in this now since the poof. When I do that again, um, it can become very. I can go into suffering again, and yet I do also want to bring this into the world. So what then, right? And the kind of middle way that, like, in that sense, also going to the middle in goals and no goals, right? What's in the middle? There is this flow in the middle, of course, and there is in that also the I would love to do it to bring it out there on that day. And if the flow goes differently, like the only yeah, if the flow goes different, it's in that. Like I'm also trying to figure it out myself. Like I'm when when I speak, it just unravels because I want to do it without really thinking about it, because then it would be just a mind blah 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 coming out.
Mhm.
So setting it on a certain date, yet being kind of true, and it's difficult to use words for it, but being kind of true to the flow that is here, right? And that it may steer me in a different direction. So in that sense, it becomes kind of fluid.
Yeah.
Because if I try, if I need to make it happen, you see what happens? Like my hands like becoming red and like it doesn't
Pressure. Yeah.
serve. It doesn't serve to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and still, when I make an appointment with someone, right, when someone else is involved, I may either be like, okay, you know, we go for it because we do it together. And it can also be talking about this. Okay, this is where I'm at. Where are you at? And can we find a different way? Right? That's also that communication. In that sense, in the practical sense, communication skills can be very helpful
Definitely.
to talk about that and to bring that,
Yeah.
right? Um, so to recap this, it is both connecting with the future and when you want to have something ready. If you want to set a goal, but you can also be like, when it comes, right? You don't have to, right? Um, so it starts with the feeling the freedom that you don't even have to, and you can, and if you do, don't if it needs to happen, that's where the suffering can come in, because you're kind of like the ego is involved, kind of almost like that's how it seems. So
It's like an intention, like also with psychedelics or something, when you have an intention and you go into the journey, but often you don't really get what you want or something, or you get something different, and
hmm
maybe maybe it has something to do with your intention, but maybe your intention or the answer for your intention will come like way later or never. You don't know, but you always get what you need or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I can relate to that one. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful um metaphor for it. It's like an example, because why do this only with Like when you take truffles or mushrooms, for example, right?
Mhm.
Um, why only there? Why not in life,
Yeah.
right? As in, there's the intention of doing this, but holding on to the intention creates tension. That's like the short version. Sorry for that long talk of blah 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 blah. That's the short version.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You gave a beautiful example. Like the clarity is here with you. Like it's like what can I even say anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's also like the clarity comes when you're like talking about it,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
even when you're like asking the question, and then the answer already comes or something. It's like, yeah.
yeah.
Or you say something that is like, oh, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love this. This here with you
Yeah.
and everything and nothing and whatever. In the now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see that it's literally 1 minute before the end time you told me about. So how do you feel? The, what do you feel like flowing towards? Like my next session is in half an hour, and I
Mm.
gotta eat something before.
Yeah.
But I also want to check in with you where you're at and if you need anything or whatever words.
Um, I mean, yeah, I feel like I also feel like I want to eat something, and it kind of feels good like it is now, right? Yeah. Like we don't really, I mean, we can, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
But it was, yeah, I enjoyed the conversation.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems quite peaceful over there.
Yeah. 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 It's like it all comes back or something. Like, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, peace of mind, of no mind, whatever.
Mhm. Whatever.
Enjoy, enjoy, and
Mm, thank you. Me too.
if you need anything, just reach out. And also, if you feel like I'm not sure, please do, because those
Okay.
can also be the moments, right?
Yeah.
And and if you would like to let me know, like in like a couple of days, like for let's keep it on 2 days, like to just let me know where you're at, right? Like I'm curious how it's unfolding, and maybe we'll plan in a session, maybe not, based on like where you're at. Just let me know.
Yeah. Thank you. Hmm.
All the best. Take care, and I'll see
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Take care.